My partner needed a pause to travel with her close friend, who she said was gay. I responded, "I hope you discover what you're searching for." Then I messaged her friend's actual, committed partner. She was left in a panic, calling me repeatedly after her getaway was shattered by his furious appearance. I'm either still, was, or perhaps used to be, in a 4-year relationship with Emily, 29. We created a life together. We share a flat filled with furniture we chose as a team, a wildly overpriced flat screen we indulged in, and a routine, a cozy, familiar rhythm. Or so I believed. Last Tuesday, she sat me down on our charcoal sectional couch, the one she insisted we buy, and delivered her speech. Her tone had that forced softness, trying to sound regretful, but a spark of eagerness kept slipping through. "Sweetheart," she began, fidgeting with a stray thread on a pillow, "I feel like I'm drifting away from myself a bit. We've been a couple for so long, I need to reconnect with who I am, you know?" I didn't understand. I just nodded. She inhaled deeply. "Lucas and I are going on a short trip, just a week, to that seaside village we mentioned. It's a chance to reset my mind. We need a breather." Lucas, 30, is her best friend, who she claims is gay. He's been part of our world for 2 years. He's boisterous, a touch theatrical, and per Emily, entirely harmless. She also said Lucas has a string of brief, casual hookups. He's the guy who leaves his scuffed trainers on our fresh rug and raids my premium bourbon without permission. I've never warmed to him, but I put up with him for her sake. A breather. The word lingered, heavy and stifling. It's never just a breather, it's a prelude to a split. My chest felt like it was hosting a wild, aching percussion, but I stayed composed. I looked at her, at the crocodile tears in her eyes, the faint hint of restlessness. She wanted me to lose it. She craved a clash, something to validate her choice. I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. I reflected on the past 4 years. Our private jokes. The night I held her close when she was sick from bad takeout. How she'd borrow my jackets, leaving them scented with her fragrance. A whole existence. And it was crumbling with this weak, offensive excuse. "All right," I said. The single word felt massive. She blinked, caught off guard. "That's it? All right." "You said you need to rediscover yourself," I replied, my voice steady. "I hope you find what you're searching for." Relief flooded her face, so blatant it was almost laughable. "Thank you, love. I knew you'd get it. It's not about you, it's me. I'll text you daily. Nothing's changing." Everything had already shifted. She and Lucas left Thursday morning. She gave me a brisk, detached peck at the door. "Stay good," she said, as if I were the one about to stir trouble. I waited until the lift doors shut. Then I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat. The flat silence was overwhelming. My hands trembled faintly. This is where I meant to break down, I suppose. Drown my sorrows. Call my mates to dissect my relationship's corpse. Instead, I grabbed my phone. I checked Lucas's social media. He wasn't cautious. He'd tagged his serious partner, Mark, 31, in photos from a friend's wedding 6 months back. "My forever," the caption read. Mark's profile was locked down, but he was part of a public online group for a local running club. It was a gamble, but I scoured the club's public race records, found his name, and cross-checked it with a public directory. It took roughly 30 minutes of determined digging, but I got a number. My thumb lingered over the screen. This was the line I couldn't uncross. A quiet, sharp part of me felt a surge, not quite rage, but a resolute clarity. the calm focus you get after the first sting of a deep cut. I crafted the message with care. I reread it thrice. Hi, Mark. I'm a stranger, but I'm Ethan, Emily's boyfriend. This might sound wild, but I thought you deserved to know Emily and Lucas are headed for a week-long trip to Seaside Hamlet, staying at the Driftwood Lodge. She told me it was just her and her gay best friend. Based on your profile, I suspect there's more to it. Sorry to break this to you. I have hotel bookings if you need proof. She sent them to our joint email. I pressed send, then I blocked Emily's number. I blocked Lucas's. I logged out of our shared accounts, streaming services, music apps, all of it. I changed the Wi-Fi password. I sank back on the couch, scanning the silent flat. It already felt less like ours and more like mine. That was Thursday. It's Saturday evening now. My phone's been pinging with alerts from an unknown number for hours. Voicemails, too. Plenty of them. I finally played one. It was Emily. No sadness or softness. She was unhinged. Ethan, answer your phone. What have you done? Mark's here. He's here. He's yelling at Lucas. You've destroyed everything. Call me back. Fix this. I deleted it. I haven't touched the others. I assume they're similar. The constant buzzing has faded into a deep, gratifying quiet. My breather's going far better than hers. A week's passed since my last entry. A lot's unfolded, and my ability to be shocked is drained. Thanks for the feedback and messages. It's odd but reassuring to know I'm not unhinged. The relentless calls from random numbers persisted through Sunday. I didn't pick up. By Monday, they'd turned into a barrage of texts. I unblocked them briefly, curious to witness the chaos. Emily. Ethan, I can't believe you'd do this to me. To us. The hotel staff got involved. Mark said Lucas wasn't his guest and they kicked him out. I had to find him a dodgy motel for the night. Mark took the car today. We were stuck. I had to buy 2 last-minute coach tickets home. They were exorbitant. You owe me. Lucas. Mate, what's your deal? You wrecked my life. 5 years. Done. Because you couldn't deal with your girl needing space? Pay me and Emily back for this ruined trip. Their sheer audacity was staggering. My sin of exposing the truth was somehow worse than their orchestrated betrayal. I saved screenshots of it all. Then I replied in a group chat. I'm not sending either of you money. Your travel plans are your problem. Emily, I've started untangling our finances. I've closed our joint savings and moved my share to a new account. Your share's in your personal account. Also, I've paid this month's rent in full from my funds. Your half is $1,100. I'll need that plus your utility share by week's end. Their reply was instant and livid. They called me a thief, a villain. I didn't respond. I blocked them again. The next steps needed precision. On Tuesday, I rang our landlord. I explained my partner and I had parted ways and she'd be leaving. I asked how to remove her from the lease. He said it'd need a formal amendment signed by everyone. This was crucial. Next, I called my bank. I logged the joint account's closure. I listed every shared cost, every financial link we had. One by one, I cut them. Each call was a precise snip, excising the decay. It wasn't all detached logic. Wednesday night, I was boxing her belongings. I tried to stay clinical, but then I found the small framed photo from our second anniversary. We were at a concert, both flushed and grinning, her head on my shoulder. Grief hit me like a tidal wave, forcing me to sit on the floor. Not for her, not the current her, for the woman I thought she was. I let myself feel it for 10 minutes. Then I placed the frame in the box face down and resumed. They returned Thursday. I heard the key turn. The door swung open and there they stood, worn out and fuming. "We need to talk," Emily snapped, barging in. Lucas trailed, scowling at me. "You've got some nerve." I stayed on the sofa. I gestured to the tidy stack of boxes by the door. "Your stuff's there," I told Emily. I was careful. She gaped at the boxes, her face a portrait of shock. "You packed my things? You're throwing me out?" "You left," I corrected. "Now I'm moving forward. You can't stay here." "You can't do that," she screeched. "I'm on the lease. I have rights." "You're right," I said evenly. "But let's be practical. You think we can coexist here after this? The lease demands co-tenants maintain a harmonious environment. Your presence after your lies makes that impossible. You can try staying, but I'll record every exchange. Every bill will be split exactly. Every task will be a debate. Is that the tense life you want?" I paused, then slid the lease amendment across the coffee table. "Or sign this. We settle what you owe and we part cleanly." She glared from the paper to me, hunting for a weakness. She found none. The living room clash was a pivot point. Emily, seeing I wouldn't budge, turned to her last resorts, emotional manipulation and stalling tactics. She refused to sign the amendment. "Fine," she hissed. "I'll stay. I'll sleep on the sofa. Let's see how you enjoy living with someone you despise." It was a petulant, frantic ploy. "Your call," I said, rising. "But to be clear, until you're off the lease, you're liable for half of all household costs. And since you've been absent, you owe this month's rent and several utilities. I'll email you a detailed invoice every Friday." I walked to the thermostat and set it to a crisp 68 degrees. "Just want to be cozy," I said. They left, momentarily defeated. Emily took a few boxes, but not all. A small act of rebellion. Her remaining boxes shouted, "I'm still here," from the room's corner. The next day, I began filing in small claims court. My claim was exact. Her half of the rent, $1,100, and overdue utilities, $247.50. I left out the security deposit. That was a separate fight. I also reached out to our shared friends. I didn't badmouth her. I was measured, honest. "Hey, just a heads up, Emily and I broke up." It was abrupt. She said she needed a breather and went off with Lucas. Turns out it was more complex. But Emily and Lucas weren't as careful. Their tale was a storm of blame, their problem. Their stories kept shifting. To some, I was a possessive tyrant. To others, I'd snooped through her phone. Their lies grew wilder, and they couldn't align them. Friends started cross-checking. Their story collapsed. The best part was the social fallout I didn't orchestrate. Mark, Lucas's ex, was understandably crushed. He shared the full truth, with my initial text as evidence. Lucas was quickly ostracized. By association, Emily, his accomplice, was shunned too. They'd burned their own social bridges. 2 weeks after the living room face-off, I got a certified letter from a lawyer threatening to sue for unlawful eviction and emotional harm. It was laughable. I sent the lawyer a calm, factual reply, outlining her voluntary trip, her failure to pay her share of rent, and a lease copy. I never heard back. The pressure grew. One evening, I came home to find her remaining boxes gone. An envelope sat on the counter. Inside was the signed amendment and a $500 check marked "Paid in Full" in the memo. A final attempt to rewrite the story. She misjudged me. A quick online search showed me how to handle such a check. Before depositing it via mobile, I flipped it over and wrote above my signature, "Deposited under protest, all rights reserved." I photographed both sides, then deposited it. I promptly updated my small claims filing to note the partial payment. She didn't get to dictate when the debt was cleared. The court would. The court date was 3 months later, 3 months of serene, quiet solitude. I rearranged the furniture. I got a new rug. The flat began feeling like home again, not a war zone. I was mending. Emily and Lucas, from what I heard, weren't. They'd moved into a cramped, pricey flat across town. Lucas, without Mark's financial help, was scraping by. Emily was pulling double shifts. Their dreamy escape had soured into a bleak, intertwined struggle. The small claims hearing day arrived. I wore a plain shirt and trousers. I carried a folder with all my documents, neatly tabbed, the lease, the invoice, bank statements, and the partial payment check photo. I was composed. Emily arrived alone. She looked drained. Her defiant fire had faded, replaced by weary bitterness. When our case was called, the mediator glanced at my folder, then at her. I laid out my case clearly. We were co-tenants, obligated to split costs. She didn't pay her share of rent and utilities for this period. She paid $500, but $847.50 remains. Emily's defense was a scattered tale of how I'd violated her trust and was punishing her for moving on. The mediator raised a hand. "Ma'am, your relationship isn't the issue. The issue is the contract you signed. Did you pay your full share of rent for that month?" "He packed my things," she pressed. "That was after you failed to pay and left for a trip," the mediator noted, pointing to the evidence. "The debt came before your items were packed. It was done in under 20 minutes. The ruling was for me. $847.50 plus court fees. The security deposit was no longer relevant. By signing the lease amendment, she'd waived her claim to it, as our landlord clarified when she called him in distress. It was now mine to settle with the landlord later. That was the cost of her clean break. She glared at me across the room, her eyes brimming with loathing. She still saw herself as the victim. In her version, she'd always be the wronged one. I left the courthouse without looking back. The first wage garnishment payment came 6 weeks later. It was small, but a start. It's been nearly a year now. The flat is wholly mine, a haven of calm. The money isn't the point anymore. Closure is. My revenge wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, procedural, and unavoidable. I didn't need to yell or plot. I just stayed calm, organized, and let their choices bring the consequences. I used the system as intended. She wanted a breather. She wanted to find herself. I hope she did. I hope she found the person who deceives those who care for them, who dodges accountability, and who thinks they're above repercussions. And I hope she can live with her. As for me, I'm doing just fine.